there are places where you can buy stuff and spend less money, but you don't get the quality, you don't get the service, you don't get the comfort in knowing that everything is going to be fine. And if it isn't, somebody's there to help you.
It's the Ohio Painting Company podcast with a new face, and we love bringing in new people. You know, we've done this a couple of times. Obviously, we have Nick Goebel there on the right, but a Sherwin-Williams outside sales representative, Andy Potts, the man in red. How are you, my friend?
Excellent. Excellent. Great to be here.
All right, that's good stuff. You know, it's great to get a new face on here. Obviously, we love Kev and everything that he has to bring to the table when it comes down to painting, the world of painting. But, you know, getting somebody on here that has, I guess, on their name tag right above Andrew Potts, Sherwin-Williams. What an amazing company that the Ohio Painting Company swears by. They use it all the time. And it's great to have you. So welcome once again, and it's great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
Absolutely.
pros know.
They wanted to be the biggest and the best, and they wanted to be the supplier of the paint for the world. And it took them quite some time, I think almost 150 years, but we are now the largest paint company in the world, manufacturing wise.
That's
And
awesome.
sales.
Well, I got to know, and we'll jump into that first question here in a bit. I kind of briefed you on the topic a little bit, but we're going to skip around and talk about Henry and Edward. You know, give me a little bit of history of this company. I mean, I have been with the Ohio Painting Company for the past couple of years. I know how they started. I know how they built, and I know where they are now. Obviously, when we're talking about 150 years, we can't get it from the horse's mouth, but I'm sure you're a great guy to talk to when it comes about this, or, you know, when it comes to discussing the ins and outs of Sherwin-Williams. So let's go back, you know, and talk about those early days, grinding it out, the changes in paint, and how history was just made with these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's, I think 156, 157 years now. It was just two guys, and they just decided that that's what they wanted to focus on. They set a code of principles by which they would follow to achieve that, and their whole goal was, just to expand and make the best products and get all the way across the world. And I would say they did a pretty good job of setting that up, and then throughout the years that's been continued. Our people is what makes this company really great. But yeah, that code of principles of just like sticking to innovation and making people efficient and treating your people well and out servicing everyone to get to that next level has worked out really well.
Customer service is a broad term, and we dive into what our differentiators are. There's a lot of people, anybody can go out and spend $50, pick up a paintbrush and the necessary tools to get a job done to call themselves a painter. So what differentiates us? Why are we more expensive? All the things, and what is that? And sometimes it's in the details of everything. It's to where you can't land the plane on what makes you different, because at the end of the day, we're just putting paint on like anybody else in different manners, more efficient, more professionalism, all of those things. But when we were seeking our identity as a Ohio Painting Company, I had a customer tell us, that our difference was customer service, that we're customer service oriented. How much can you charge for customer service? What does that mean? And how do you execute that, and how do you focus on that being a differentiator? And so for us, focusing on that and building that into our ethos and kind of everything that we do was extremely difficult. And we're a small company. I don't even want to guess how many employees Sherwin-Williams has right now, let alone over the years cumulatively. But it's such a difference, though, to where paint is not just paint either. There's a lot of great qualities of paint out there. I worked in Sherwin-Williams for some time, and where I might be approaching my bachelor's degree on paint and paint knowledge from Sherwin-Williams standpoint, and he's got multiple doctorates. I mean, like that. But that's because you live in it. But wherever I'm about to fail, or I'm outside of a comfort zone, and I live outside of my comfort zone all the time, Andy's always there and willing to step in and go above and beyond. And he's a microcosm of the greater organization, which is, I mean, that's their intent, even all the way up in corporate. I mean, and you experience that when we don't just go to one store. We go to stores all over Cincinnati and Dayton. And Andy is a mediator to us through all of those stores. And so, his piece is huge in delivering customer service to us when we're in so many different places. But, when we walk in the door, the manager or the system manager, or those employees of those stores, they know who you are, where we're coming. There's a continuity from one store to the next. And you can't we put a price on it because we pay it, but it's hard. The value is understated, and they are customer service oriented, and we appreciate that and respect that so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, one of Henry Sherwin's famous quotes is, "Anything worth doing is worth doing well." And I take that, to heart every day. If I'm going to come to work and do my job, I mean, I've got to do it to the best of my ability. Otherwise, what am I doing this for? And so that's the kind of level of customer service we try to bring. It's like, I'll bend over backwards to make it work because I'm trying to make sure your business flourishes.
Mm-hmm.
And when all of the business to business, like I'm a sales rep for business to business. So all of those businesses I work for me to be successful, they have to be successful. And sometimes it's something that may sound silly, or it may just it's like, oh, it's a little bit of a time waster, but it makes a difference for the people I work with. And that's what matters is, I have kind of this all-encompassing role as a sales rep. And most people don't really know what a sales rep does, for Sherwin-Williams or for any paint company.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, we got the mindset, which is fantastic. I love what's rolling around up in the brain because you look back at the history of a company, you see how the original guys did it, and you still take it to heart. So that's awesome. But honestly, what do? Are you traveling around a lot? Are you visiting other paint companies just like the Ohio Painting Company? Walk me through your day or your week and let us know how it goes.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm not like a car salesman. I'm not coming just to try to get you to buy something every day. I'm more of what you would consider like a service rep. So I do work business to business with quite a few paint companies basically in South Dayton here. And my job is to do whatever it takes to facilitate you buying paint from me. I might discuss pricing. I might help you figure out which product to use on a tricky substrate, or how to prepare that substrate for it to be painted. I'll go look at a complaint. Maybe it's our product and it's peeled or it's had an issue. And then I'll say, okay, here's what we do to fix it. And here's how we're going to work together to get it fixed for the end user. I'll go walk a job with you when you're bidding it to decide all right, let's have an extra set of eyes to point out some things that maybe we put it in the bid as extra work. Say we're looking at painting the sides of a building, and I know you guys have discussed downspouts before.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to paint the downspouts? Okay. Are they going to be a different color? Do we want to use a different product for that? Okay. How are we painting the roof? Did you think about the fasteners that you're going to use? Have you included the 24 cases of sealant that you're going to use? So I do job walks with customers to help them figure out how to estimate a job, especially when it's a customer that is taking on a project that might be a little bit larger or different than what they've done previously. I will do these things in-house. We call them custodians. So if you do a large commercial project, I can track the colors that were used and the products that were used and make a really nice portfolio to leave with your end customer so that when they need extra touch-up paint, they'll know exactly what it is to touch it up or to repaint it in the future. And so there's just this whole plethora of things that I help customers with on a daily basis. And yet I'll be completely honest with you. I make calls out to these customers and sometimes they just completely blow me off. Now, if it's one guy standing on a ladder and he's the only painter in the business, he's a one-man show, I get it. but call me back later because I'm not trying to waste your time. I'm trying to find ways to help you, either to save you money or save you headache in the long run, or, help you make extra money. I mean, that's what we're in business for,
Yeah.
is to find ways to make money. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, I've produced videos for this company, like I said, over the past couple of years, and I've seen them spraying aluminum roofs. We've had the conversation about the downspouts. I've seen you guys take the, vent covers off and spray those separately and then reinstall them. And I'm sure at some point, Andy, you've been there to be like, hey, you've had the conversation with them prior to their knowledge being at peak level, right?
sure, sure. I mean, that's a pretty constant thing. I mean, a lot of my a lot of my work does come with newer customers that are learning and trying to expand their business. But then what happens is, as you build those relationships, these guys know what they're doing, but we speak probably on a daily basis, either to Kevin or to Nick. I would say, 3 or 4 days a week, we're texting or calling back and forth about something. And it's always just like, what can we do here that makes this job easier? What's the best product for this? I'm trying to find it. Who has it? There are so many hundreds of thousands of paint products. And I have my resources. I don't know it all. I put on a good show. These guys will think, wow, Andy can talk on his feet and he knows a lot of things. But there are
Don't
times,
undersell yourself. We put you in tight corners, and you do
Yeah.
think you do think well on your feet.
well, but sometimes I'll say, hey, I don't know, but I've got resources that know way more than me.
Yeah.
That make me feel like nothing. So it's really great. I'm surrounded by good people with my customers and with my coworkers, and a good network there to find solutions for businesses. And that's really what I do. I find solutions for businesses to be more efficient and effective.
I've seen Kevin do some pretty intense interior DIY stuff by himself. And I mean, he goes all out. He's got the plastic up, he's cutting a slit in it so he can access and go inside. He's putting the full head to toe suit on. Nick, honestly, I've done videos of you. You employed somebody to come and paint the exterior of your house. I believe I saw a video of that, which is fine. But Andy, given your profession, are you the DIY guy or do you have the pros come in?
Um, it depends on the situation. I will paint myself for the most part. I'm not a great painter. I'm not patient enough, really, to be
I hear
completely
you.
honest. But I took on a project 7 or 8 years ago, refinishing my basement.
Oh.
I had a lot of help from my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, and we framed, we hung the drywall, we did the electric, we did the plumbing. I hired out the tile, the carpet, and I will tell you, I will never do electric on my own again.
Okay.
But yeah, framing, drywall, plumbing, finishing, painting. I don't mind those things. I'll do some of that myself. But this past year, my wife and I installed a dishwasher, and the electrical part of it just got me. And I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing the electrical. I don't know if it's nervousness. I don't know if it's like my hands are too big. I struggle with it. So some projects, yes, some projects, no. But if I would prefer to lean on the professional, because I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not. Like, all right, that's a little too much for me. I'm gonna, I'll have somebody else do that.
Was it always like that, or did you have to learn that maybe I need some help with this because I've been stuck in a situation halfway done, or maybe even like a tenth of the way done, thinking I can do it, and then I'm just like, this is way too much. I'm putting the brakes on. I'm terrible at this, and I just found out that I'm terrible at it. You ever been in that situation?
I'm kind of the other way. I would have always preferred, but my in-laws are big DIYers, and they've pushed me into trying to do things on my own.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of times I'm the helper. I hold the ladder, the flashlight, where they show me what to do, and then I do it. So I've kind of learned that way. And then from the painting side, I have all these guys. I call them for questions when I'm like, all right, I don't know how to do this right. How do I take this thing off? Because every time I do it, I mess it up.
My in-laws
So-
didn't yell at me enough, Nick. I need you to teach me.
Right.
Family's got to be good for they're good for a lot of reasons. They are black and white truthful with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, that's awesome stuff. I love getting down into the the big corporation and how they have people that are out in the world making sure that their products are getting, implemented properly. So that's great stuff. I want to know, as the biggest paint company in the world, that's got to be a little bit of pressure on you, Andy, first off. But, we can talk about that a little bit later. But, what do you know about what's going on behind the curtain to remain the best? You were talking about products, you were talking about the know-how, the knowledge, but I mean, is there anything you can share with us to
Well,
stay the
yeah,
best?
sure. Sure. I would just say that we're always innovating. We're always looking for that next step that we can make a better product that is easier to use, that is more friendly to the homeowner, that is more sustainable for the future. We're always trying to figure out ways to make our customers better business people so that they are more successful. We have our Pro Plus app, which a lot of my customers use, and they can buy things through the app. They can pay their bill online. They can download directly into QuickBooks. But we bought up other companies or little software that we could add to it. So there's a project bid tool on there. These guys have their own thing. You have a CRM you work with, and
Yeah, there's a day that we didn't.
right.
And we
And
we faked a lot of things up to a point to where we couldn't anymore and had to create our own thing. But like that would have been very useful, probably even
right.
in our first 2, 3 years of business.
Right. And so it's something we've included in our app for, and mostly newer customers use it, but to add to their professionality, things that, and the project bid tool, it's great. I mean, you can go in and take pictures. You can put all your logo and everything in there, and you can email a customer a bid directly while you're on the job site. You compare that to a guy that's taking notes on a piece of paper and sends them an email 3 weeks later with a bid. Your professionalism has jumped. So that's kind of the goal. Like, we're just trying to make sure that we are as good as we can be at everything we do, and that we help improve everyone around us too. Um, Aside from that, I mean, Sherwin-Williams is always trying to be innovative. That's the one thing I can say.
I don't think you have a choice nowadays, with the rapid acceleration of technology and stuff like that. I could see a regular person, and I've been with OPC long enough to know that it's not just a gallon of paint. Okay, there is so much more that goes into it. But with technology upping itself, with the differences in every single thing about paint, Kevin Silliman, one of the founders of the Ohio Painting Company. Good to see you. But I think what my question was, do you think people take paint for granted? People walk up and they say, hey, this is a gallon of paint, I want this one, without really doing the research on what exactly they need to buy.
Sure. Sure. I mean, that happens a lot. And people do take for granted paint. I mean, it's a thin coating that we put on our walls to beautify it, essentially. Coatings, the definition would be like they're to protect something. So if you kind of compare paint to coatings, coatings are usually very glossy, because the higher something has of a gloss, the longer it's going to resist being broken down by UV light. So if you go look at any heavy industrial type facility, they don't care that it's high gloss and it looks wet after you've painted it and it's fully dry and cured. Because it gets protected longer. But when we're talking about architectural for your home, the intent is beauty. It's not there just to protect the walls. Now, it does some of that, especially our exterior paints. That there's a lot of protection involved in those. But paint is more to beautify it. But people, take it for granted. We love to pride ourselves on the quality of products that we make and that we sell. But I have everything. I mean, I have the home builder quality stuff that, the ultra flat flats that have a ton of texture to them and they're not durable at all. But I have the best of the best also. And we're always trying to make sure that we have something that competes with anyone else. I know that, we focus on our products being easy to apply for the applicator and long lasting durability for the homeowner. But yes, you can go almost anywhere and buy paint, whether it be Walmart or Big Lots or any of the box stores.
A flea market. They
Yeah.
might even have a sticker of Sherwin-Williams slapped right on there.
And a
Yeah.
piece of
Seen
tape
that.
holding the
It's
lid
probably not
shut. Yeah.
Sherwin-Williams though.
Yeah, probably not. But they're the quality of the paint, you can get everything. But I think what you need to do is ask yourself, what are you looking for out of this? If you're going to repaint every 3 to 5 years, you may not need the best of the best. Any of the middle road products will look really great and work and be easy to work with. If you're going to paint it, leave it for 10 to 15 years, spend the money on a good product so that you know it's going to last a long time.
Absolutely.
So,
Or if you're going to paint it and there's any question that you may have questions or run into issues, buy from somebody that you can actually talk to face to face to help you troubleshoot that.
yes.
Because if not, you're stuck with YouTube and you're going to get 1,000. This is the reason you don't refer to Dr. WebMD, because everything boils down to you having cancer or
Exactly.
having some illness. Same thing with looking for things on YouTube. You're going to find 1,000 wrong ways to do it, and a few right ways. And there's too many videos to even be able to find the right way. So buy from someone you can lean into their years of experience, even through guys like us. There's all the painting that we do, we still run into projects where we're like, okay, this was sold, this is what they want. And now lacquers are no longer legal and able to be used in a residential household. Andy, I sold this job and Ohio passed the law this year. So what are we going to do?
Right.
And he'll think outside of the scope. He's got our knowledge to lean into if the customer needs something, him and the stores group. But like for us, though, the ability to think laterally and look at the availability across their thousands and thousands of coatings to get us into a system where the products work together. You're not going to get any type of difference in shrinking and reduction as the products cure out and dry, which would lead to peeling and everything else. So anyhow, Andy helped us work through an extremely small project on the scale of what we do, but was important. Anything that's tied into your reputation, even if you take on something new, it's more important. The importance of the job and getting it done correctly is more value than the actual cost of the job. Even if you go upside down on the job, you have to follow up your commitments and deliver what you say. And Andy got us out of that pickle this year through months of phone calls and patience and everything else. So buy from where the pros know.
Yeah, when you buy from, I will sell. Well, when you buy from Sherwin-Williams, and there are probably some others also, but if you pay for the best, you usually get the backing behind it. Most of the pros use the better paint companies because they get the backing behind it. If something goes wrong, I'm a phone call away and you have me out on that job site within 48 hours usually. So that's valuable to businesses. I mean, there are places where you can buy stuff and spend less money, but you don't get the quality, you don't get the service, you don't get the comfort in knowing that everything is going to be fine. And if it isn't, somebody's there to help you.
How many colors you guys working with there at Sherwin-Williams?
I don't know. 20,000, 50,000. I don't know. There are so many colors that can be made, and yet our palette alone is probably 10,000. It's a ton.
And then I want to know, out of that 10,000, there's probably one. It's like a bottleneck to one color. Everybody getting off at the same exit to get to that color. What is it? What is the color that has just been rocking everybody's world?
Lately, I mean, the whites are really popular. I mean, extra white, pure white. Of course, then black is really popular right now. You got this farmhouse chic style that's popular where it's black and white, and traditionally it's white with black shutters and trim, and then some people are flip-flopping that and going black on the body with white on the trim and windows and downspouts and things. And you know what? That's fine. I think it looks great. The problem is if you paint a body of a building black like that, you're going to notice the chalking much faster, and you're going to have these guys out to repaint it.
you're also changing the thermal capacity of the surface of the
Absolutely.
house. So your wood, which was always expanding and contracting, is going to behave differently. You're going to have nails popping. You're going to have wood expanding to the point where it wants to wave or take on a different look. There's so many considerations in doing that, and people don't understand that. And it comes up a lot of time in vinyl too. You can get vinyl, they make vinyl safe paint and more colors than probably should be allowed to paint vinyl, and dark colors are one of those, and they make a vinyl safe and it's not going to warp when you paint it. But again, vinyl is very thin, very malleable to any type of temperature difference. And anyhow, and I'm sure you
I could
to
go
help,
on. Yeah, I could go on about vinyl for 20 minutes. But the main thing I would say is that when you're painting vinyl, you should not change colors drastically.
Okay.
If you change more than a shade or two, regardless of the paint, the color, a lot of things, you have a potential for warpage. Vinyl is hung instead of like screwed in or nailed in. It should be able to slide back and forth about an inch either way. If you have any spaces where it doesn't slide and doesn't move, instead of that heat being reflected away, it gets trapped and it can't move, and it can't shift back and forth, and it'll cause it to warp. The colorant in the paint, more than the paint, is what holds the heat in. So we want to use lighter colors that reflect it. And if the vinyl was dark to start with, you could go back with a dark color. Mm-hmm. But if the vinyl is light to start with, I wouldn't go with a darker color. There's a handful of other things that if you're thinking about painting vinyl, call us. We will walk you through every question and every step. Never paint brand new vinyl. It needs to be aged. That surface tends to off gas for several years, and it has an oily feel to it. Mm-hmm. That has to go away, and it's got to feel kind of porous. Otherwise, it will reject even a specific bonding primer coating. And we don't want to put a primer on there. We don't want to create too much of a film build, because that's what holds in that extra heat. Vinyl windows, vinyl shutters, usually not any issue. They're made of thicker vinyl, but siding is very thin, hot pressed material. And when you heat it back up, it wants to return to its original coiled shape.
Man, I promise you, I promise the common DIYer has never had these thoughts in their head in their entire life. I promise you. I'm one of them. I didn't know until just now. I'm kind of taking mental notes here, and I'm going to have to rewatch and get the transcripts out of here, print them out, and give them to my wife so we can study up. It's crazy how much knowledge is packed into y'all's brains, that you're able to get out to the people and let them know, hey, this isn't a gallon of paint. This is the wrong paint. We're going to go get you the right stuff. By the way, it's not going to stick to this vinyl just yet. Okay. It's not porous enough. That's crazy. But, you learn things every single day, and I appreciate you guys doing what you do. We're all about alabaster right now on the interior, and that is a Sherwin-Williams color, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good deal. Thumbs up. I'll tell you what, Andy, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I held up a gallon of paint one time, and I'm only, a few weeks, maybe a couple of months into getting true, respectable knowledge about painting. And I held up a gallon of paint one time, and the look on Kevin's face when he saw what I bought, I might as well have just gone to prison.
Now,
it was
don't
terrible.
sell them down the river, because it still had Sherwin-Williams on the label.
It did.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it wasn't.
One of was it the Valspar Sherwin-Williams? Yeah.
I forget exactly which one it was. One of those, the big block letter names. They're just like, oh, that's luxury right there. We're getting that.
And it's probably cross-referenced from something else that they make and they have in their line. But again, and probably nothing wrong with that paint. And because Andy can't say anything about that paint. But I can say something about the people behind the paint. I mean, there's a difference between buying paint at Lowe's, even if it's a great product. There's a high likelihood that they don't have any paint knowledge. They only know how to operate the tinner. They don't have any of this knowledge. Fraction of the knowledge that Andy has, the stores group have within that you can lean into, but there's continuity in the stores, whereas over at Lowe's. If somebody called in sick, then they might bring somebody over from the lumber department to make paint. And then he's not going to be there tomorrow when you need another gallon of paint or when things go wrong. So it's yeah, that was kind of a loaded.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
And I worked a part-time job in college at Lowe's one summer, and I worked in lawn and garden. They pulled me into paint one time. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
I never thought I would sell paint. I never thought I would know anything about paint. This was
Now look at you.
This wasn't my plan, but I love selling paint.
That's awesome. Andy Potts, outside sales rep of Sherwin-Williams. Obviously, Nick Goebel, one of the founders of the Ohio Painting Company, on the Ohio Painting Company podcast. Great conversation. It was awesome to meet you, Andy, and maybe we'll do this again sometime, and we'll be talking soon.
Thank
We
you.
need a high five.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.